Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of Podio Commentary. And today I'm going to be talking about Alien Romulus. Because, after I was watching Predator Killer of Killers the other night, I was like, man, I'm in the mood for some more sci-fi and some stuff I haven't seen yet. So right there on Hulu, right next to it actually, was Alien Romulus. So I finally sat down and gave this movie a watch. And I'm a little bit bummed I didn't go see this in theaters. It's harder for me these days to get to the theaters in any kind of frequency. So when I finally sat down to give this thing a watch, I was, cautiously optimistic. I had heard mostly good things, but just the other day I had heard some bad things about the movie. And, alien films in recent years have largely been hit or miss. I mean, you have like the AVP movies, which I actually really like both AVP films. I think I'm in the minority on that one. And then I really love Prometheus, even with that really kind of weird ass third act. And I know a lot of people out there also like Prometheus. And then you have Covenant. Yeah, Covenant's a thing. And I need to watch it again, to be honest with you. I've only seen it one time and it wasn't like, it didn't really wow me or whatever. So I was really excited when Fede Álvarez was going to be coming on in to direct this one because I really enjoyed his work on Evil Dead and the other things that he has done. This guy, he likes violence, he likes gore, and he can tell some pretty cool stories. And this is one that when he, initially kind of like came on board, he was making it his own thing. This was meant to not be connected to any of the other films, but that's not even remotely accurate because it's pretty connected. I would argue that this movie, on an amalgamation level, has threads and strands of DNA connected to, quite frankly, every other alien movie, including Prometheus. I mean, not only do we get the Prometheus score in this film, the creature at the end very much looks like an engineer, and then also very reminiscent of the creature from the end of Alien Resurrection. You get a little bit of Space Marine action with the whole scene with the like autocannon shooting, down at the bottom of the space station. You get the kind of the claustrophobic aspect of the original film when some of the when they first get to the space station and other elements like that. You get a little bit of Alien Isolation vibe with the design of the space station. It's not the Sevastapole, but it kind of feels like the Sevastopole. I mean, this movie literally is like a love letter to every other bit of alien lore that came before it, and I am here for it. Yeah, sure, the story can maybe get a little bit, whatever at times. Okay, right? Like, it's not perfect. There's a couple things I kind of really, question. But at the end of the day, I don't even want to go with the end of the day before I dive into it, but like ultimately I really, really, really liked it. Now, the story this time around centers on an orphan named Rain Carradine, played by Cailee Spaeny, and she's got her brother, Andy, which is a synthetic, kind of an old model Weyland-Yutani synthetic that was found and reprogrammed by her father, kind of becoming like her brother and also like, like whatever she's got left of her parents, right? And it very much kind of echoes the whole like David storyline, but like juxtaposition of the David storyline, rather than trying to understand who he is, he's very happy with who he is and he's there to protect his sister, right? That's his prime directive. And of course, things go haywire because he's needed to get on to the space station that they find floating right above the it was LV-410 is the Jackson Star Colony. And, so then that's where like, okay, we got these these cryopods. We can sleep for 9 years while we get to Yavaga 3, which is this like kind of like, you can almost call it like the way they describe Yavaga 3 is almost like it's like an Eden planet, right? It's a place safe from Weyland-Yutani. It's a place safe from colonies, from the mines, from synths, from anything that's like unorganic, it feels like. And that is what they're wanting to go and do. And I kind of dug that because it wasn't about trying to go and like steal money, right? They weren't trying to be greedy for like, we want to go and get this cash so we can like live like fat cats. It's we want to be free from this corporate oppression that we are in. Because like in the beginning of the movie, you know, Rain, she has worked for 12,000 hours as a farmer, and she's wanting to get off planet. And then the lady there is like, no, the rates have been raised to 24,000 credit hours. We'll see you in about 5 or 6 years. Oh yeah. Also, by the way, due to the fact that like we are low on personnel, you've been reassigned from the farming to the mines. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't matter. Her life doesn't matter, even though it opens. And this is one thing I really liked about this is it opens when they're on Jackson Star and you're hearing like the announcer say like, if you have any cold or flu symptoms, please report immediately to the infirmary, right? Like the safety and security of our and health of our colony is the top priority. And then you realize that no, it's like they just want to make sure that like disease doesn't spread because they're not designed to be on this perpetually dark planet. New diseases are popping up every cycle. And like they're losing people. And so you get this really interesting background of like how just screwed this colony is and how everyone there is screwed. And so it really does make the whole idea of finding this wreckage and this what they believe is a decommissioned space station, to head up there, right? And to go and do that. And so when they get up there and everything else, and then of course, as the whole thing falls apart, the facehuggers start to kind of wake up. And I got to give credit to Fede Álvarez on this one. Facehuggers, they made him scary. There's this scene where like they have to walk through a whole bunch of them and they had to like raise the temperature in the room to match their body temperature. So the facehuggers couldn't see them. And it was like everything's in dark. Like you can just see like the facehuggers there. They're moving, but they're not aware of the people, And it was just like super cool to see like that scene. In my mind, it felt very similar to the end of The Birds, right? When Tippi Hedren is walking out, I think of a church or whatever, and she's walking out and all the birds are there just like looking at her. This is one of those same kind of very unnerving, like you don't know what's going to happen situations. And I really dug it because it allowed for that kind of intensity, and I mean, and the thing, like what you have to remember about this is like, this is kind of a short movie. It's only an hour or 119 minutes. It goes by pretty quick, and you've got like all of these, like when they get there, and then you've got the pass or the captain who ends up getting infected and whatever. The only thing I didn't like about that, to kind of get ahead of it, is that like the incubation process was like super fast. I feel like in the original, the incubation process took more time, but this movie kind of had a lot to do. And they were also on a timetable of where they have like 36 hours before the space station ends up crashing into the rings of this planet. And then of course, like as everything gets crazy, like as everyone freaks out, it ends up like causing a disturbance, which then pushes the timeline to like 45 minutes, which I thought that was pretty great. I thought that was pretty great. How like, Navarro gets infected and she's running back. And then you've got, like the other guy who's totally a jerk and he's like trying to like, protect Navarro and not get killed by Andy and all this stuff. And it's just like, again, kind of like as people overreact, bad things happen. And that's precisely what happened here. And I thought that was pretty awesome. What I thought was actually really cool was they had to upgrade Andy in order to be able to get him to unlock the door to save everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was actually really kind of cool where they had to upgrade an old kind of outdated synth to kind of get the credentials. It felt very video gamey to me, but like in a good way. And then I thought it was really cool that they were able to then like, find another synth that looked like Ash, right? Because at first I heard Ian Holmes' likeness was used and I was like, wait, I thought Ash died in the original, And then, no, this was just another synth, and this model was modeled after Ian Holm, and they got permission and everything else. And he was a great antagonist to the film. Again, very similar to who Ash was in the original. So the whole idea that this wasn't connected, it's pretty connected. It's pretty connected. One thing I noticed was there's a lot of vaginal imagery in this movie, right? Like the facehuggers, where like the tentacle comes out, right? Or where like the stem comes out, whatever you want to call it, that they use to like, impregnate the seed. Very vaginal. It looked like a vagina. And then also when the alien is born out of Navarro and then it goes into the cocoon, when it gives birth, is also very vaginal. And I just thought that was really interesting. I'm assuming there's a reason for that. I don't know what that reason is, but there's very much feeling like, oh yeah, there's a lot of vagina stuff in this one. Again, fine with me. Who doesn't love a good vagina, right? Who doesn't? Yeah, exactly. But I enjoyed all of that. I mean, I did feel like one of the biggest problems was like, you have the alien, and it's there's like that scene with Isabella Merced playing Kay, and she's trying to get back, right? And they won't let her in, and the alien's behind her, and it's watching, like it's waiting, like it's studying, like it's going to attack, like it's instinctually doing this. And then, like later on, it grabs her, takes her to like the nest. So like, is it a hive mind? Are the xenomorphs a hive mind? Because it felt like, this is all the other aliens that were there. This kind of felt like this would have been, there's a queen somewhere on board of the ship. There's a queen. It feels like there has to be. But then again, all of the eggs and all of the facehuggers, at least the facehuggers, those are all what appears to be like genetically created, obviously for the sake of experimentation to create the perfect human. And I thought that was actually a really cool aspect to it. I thought that was a very interesting way of trying to tell the story of what Weyland-Yutani was up to. They're trying to kind of like genetically modify man in order to be able to handle the mines so they can still meet their quotas for their shareholders, rather than trying to like enhance mankind for the betterment of mankind. Like they're just being a corporation. Where this kind of juxtaposes the engineers from Prometheus that were there kind of spreading life. Again, maybe maybe I'm off, but it does kind of feel like from the perspective of, what's it called? Of, was it Experimentation? I got to watch them again. It's been a while, but I thought that was actually kind of a really interesting way of going about it. But then when like, Kay was injured and then Andy was like, here, just give her this and that can fix her. Because she's basically bleeding out while she's pregnant, and I thought that was interesting. But then she does it to herself, and of course, like gives birth to the monster at the end, right? And then what I thought was great about that was she survived this massively traumatic thing, blood everywhere, right? Like there's no way she's going to be able to survive this, like even with going into cryo sleep and anything like that. And then the monster like feeds on his mom, which was interesting, and it just looks like the engineer, and it was creepy. It looked like the kind of stuff I would see in like the deep corners of like the creepypasta parts of the internet, and that did kind of freak me out a little bit. I was watching it by myself like at 2 a.m, and I just like, all right, then that got me, And then it gets to the kind of the same kind of ending as the original, and which is even referenced when they talked to Rook early on about how Ripley blew the alien out of the airlock, and that's what they were able to recover from the wreckage of the Nostromo, So it's just like, okay, right? Obviously, they really had to find a way to kind of tie it in. Very similar to maybe like The Force Awakens, how The Force Awakens kind of like thematically and even some story beats was very similar to A New Hope. This one kind of pulled from everything. And they are working on a sequel. I don't know what they're going to do with it or how they're going to do it, but they are working on a sequel. So I'm curious to see where they go with it. Obviously, the movie did pretty well. This was originally meant to go on Hulu. It had a budget of $80 million, and it grossed $350 million, which is, well over 3 times the amount. So this is considered a profitable film. And then never mind its home video sales and how it's done on streaming. And it was received pretty damn well. So yeah, like it's pretty good. I like it. Bring on more. We're kind of in a place right now where Predator is cooking, right? And Alien feels like it's on its way back. We got the new Alien Earth series coming out this summer. And so, yeah, we're in a good space with this. And I thought Disney was going to drop the ball, and I'm happy to say that they haven't. So hell yeah, bring it on, baby. Curious to know your thoughts. Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Let me know. And I will talk to you guys later. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to sub and like and all that stuff. And yeah, have a good one.